March, week 1, language, 3rd grade, lesson 3, reading poetry, green sheet. On the front, it talks about personification, figurative language. Another word for that is non-literal language. It means you don't take it literally, okay? Personification is a literary device in which human attributes and qualities are given to non-human or inanimate objects. For example, a sentence might say, the old hardwood floor groaned under the weight of the heavy table. In that sentence, the hardwood floor is personified, being given the ability to groan like a human. The reader understands this to mean that the floor made a creaking noise when the heavy table was placed upon it. By using personification and giving the floor human-like attributes, the sentence resonates more with the reader, offering a better image of what is happening. Writers use personification to help establish mood and build imagery in a piece of writing. What personification does best is it connects a reader with the object that's being described. It's actually human nature to give inanimate objects human characteristics in order to make them more relatable. Have you ever watched a movie where a tree comes to life?
Me. Oh, have you watched Monstercalls?
What happens?
This giant tree comes to life and he says, I will tell you 3 stories. And once I finish with these stories, you will tell me 5.
Okay.
Yes.
So we make movies where trees or plants come to life. We have plays where the same thing happens. So
It's a whole.
we use persona. I mean, even in The Wizard of Oz, right? The Tin Man, the lion, they're made to seem human. Okay, we do it a lot. Lots of books have pictures where you can see sort of a human in a cloud or in a plant, a flower, or a tree.
There's
Or you could
just
just relate
one
to that.
Yes.
book I listened to, and it's where, like, I think it's called Wish Tree,
Uh-huh.
and people are going to, like, cut down the tree
Oh, the Giving Tree. And the tree talks.
Oh, I've seen
to only 2 people.
Yes. Yeah. That's a
They-
very famous book. I love that book. In the previous example, when the floor groaned under the weight of the table, the reader can immediately recall in their life when they had to carry a heavy object, letting them feel more connected with the burden that the floor was carrying. Now I'm in the middle. Personification is used to boost emotion. Personification helps boost emotion and can make plain sentences more interesting when it's used effectively. Consider the following sentences. I'm still here, Silas. Ready? Put your finger on the first one. The dog's tail moved back and forth when his owner came back from work. That's kind of right? Now look at this one. This is the next one. The dog danced with joy when his owner came back from work.
Yeah.
I can tell
Way
that
better.
he's not there.
While there's nothing wrong with the first sentence, the second sentence connects with the reader on a more personal level because of the use of personification. It expresses the dog's happiness his owner is home and allows the reader to imagine a more vivid picture of what is going on in the narrative. When using personification, a writer should keep a few things in mind in order to convey the message they want without confusing the reader. First, an author needs to think about what kind of emotions and meanings they want to convey when using personification, and whether or not those thoughts are appropriate to the description of the object. In the example above concerning the hardwood floor groaning, it would not make sense to say that the floor sung with joy under the weight of a heavy table. Personification is best used in places where a reader does not expect it to happen, because it not only creates a connection, but it also highlights certain features. Good writers use figurative language like personification to give their writing life and to connect with audiences. By giving inanimate objects human qualities, personification helps relate ideas and objects to people, allowing an author to convey his meaning more effectively. And that's why they do it. Now, I bet you guys can guess there's going to be some personification in this poem.
What's it called?
It's called The Wind, and it's by one of the most famous poets. His name is Robert Louis Stevenson. Wonderful poet.
Steve.
The Wind. I saw you toss the kites on high, and blow the birds about the sky. And all around I heard you pass, like ladies' skirts across the grass. O wind, a-blowing all day long, O wind, that sings so loud a song. I saw the different things you did, but always you yourself you hid. I felt you push, I heard you call. I could not see yourself at all. O wind a-blowing all day long, O wind that sings so loud a song. We'll fill this out in a minute. I want to go to the last verse. O you that are so strong and cold, O blower, are you young or old? Are you a beast of field and tree? Or just a stronger child than me? O wind a-blowing all day long, O wind that sings so loud a song. Now let's go here. And it says, ask and answer questions. At the start of the poem, you might ask yourself, who is the poet talking to? Circle the lines that tell the answer.
He's talking to the wind.
Yeah, but where do you first really realize that?
Oh, wind blowing all
Yeah,
day
this right here. So the 5th and 6th lines, that's when that answer comes. I was starting to guess it already, right? But
When
the
when
answer...
it said the wind, I knew it was going to be something about wind.
Non-literal language. Look at line 4, so that's right before the part we circled. The poem is comparing the soft sound of the wind to the sound of ladies' skirts brushing across grass. How are these two things similar? You guys are all boys, you wouldn't know, but Miss Cammy, I'm wearing a long skirt today, right? What if it came all the way to the ground and I walked across the grass?
It'd be quiet.
It'd be quiet, but you could hear a tiny little...
You would hear like a sort of a brush.
A rustle.
A rustle.
A rustle.
A wind when it's going through glass, it sort of makes some sound.
So wind does make a rustling sound when it's soft wind, right? They both rustle. That's an interesting word. Can you write that, Ruben? When this writer, so Robert Louis Stevenson, he lived about 100 years ago.
Oh my god.
Therefore, most ladies did wear really long skirts back then.
But he's still alive?
Nope, he died.
When?
He lived most of his life on an island in the middle of the Pacific, and my piano teacher in England,
Oh my god.
she grew up on that island.
Did you know him?
No, he'd already died.
No. Do you know anybody that
She
saw
was
him?
so nice. Her name was Rona, and she gave me candy, and her husband was called Tom, but we called him Tom Tom, and he made clocks. He had all these old clocks with beautiful paintings on them, and people brought them to him from all over the south of England to fix. And the whole upstairs of his house was full of them. It was super cool. All right.
What was your favorite one?
This one that had like the moon and the stars and like animals, and it was incredible actually. I'm sure it was worth an awful lot of money. And the whole face of that one, the face of that one was porcelain. It was like china, like made of china.
So was it like $1,000?
Oh, I'm sure it was. No, it wasn't. You can make china anywhere as long as you have a kiln. China is very fine pottery, and porcelain is the finest.
So you just
China is really strong.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, China is really
And
strong.
porcelain being the finest, it is the strongest too. And you can get a little teacup that's so thin around and dainty, and you can stand on it. It will not break. That stuff's strong.
What if you get a sledgehammer?
Whereas regular pottery would, if you made it that
What
thin.
about a 200?
Of course a sledgehammer would break it. Okay, let's go here. Hello? Non-literal language. Look at line 15. How can the wind be a beast?
Because sometimes it can rip off how.
Yes.
It can rip
What can it do?
off. It can
Destroy.
It can
push down
destroy.
trees.
Yeah.
It can rip trees out of it.
Yeah.
It can uproot. I don't know.
So right,
It can make
destroys
hurricanes.
hurricanes, tornadoes, right? Typhoons.
Yeah.
It can be very, very, very destructive.
about
It can trigger
tsunamis?
No, usually earthquakes trigger tsunamis. So that's different. But it can
Oh, yeah.
trigger terrible storms at sea. Boats can sink because of the waves that the wind makes.
because I think like the earthquake makes and it kind of like shakes the water,
Yes.
and then the water kind of goes like.
Right, 1,000 miles this giant wave can go. So that's a little different, but we all know wind can be very, very, very destructive. And then let's do last one, description. The poet wonders what the wind might be. Underline the descriptions of the wind the poet wonders about.
Oh, blower.
Are you a beast of field
are
and
you a-
tree?
Good. And then
Or
there's
just a child?
just a
well-
stronger child than me. Good. Those are.
Wind and blowing all day long.
Well, he's not wondering anymore. There, he's wondering on those
Oh yeah.
those two right before that. Those are. He's kind of just in his head, kind of wondering what. Okay, and again, as he says that, he's definitely using personification, isn't he? He's kind of giving the wind some human-like qualities.
And it's like, oh blower, you young or old?
hmm
Young or old?
Where do you see that?
On the top.
Ooh, we need to add that.
Oh, that.
Gage is right.
Yeah.
Oh, blower, are you young or old?
Or beast of field and tree.
Thank you, Gage. So now we're done with this particular packet,
What?
and that's language.